Thank you. Hi, I'm Linda Mahoney. Welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing from all these wonderful speakers today. We have a lot of folks on various STEM things, and we also have some people who are flying under the radar, so to speak, because they're actually here representing one group, when in fact they have 10 degrees after their name. So pay attention. This is maybe the only time in the entire year where we ask people to speak for themselves. I'm not going to tell how wonderful you are, or how many degrees, or whatever. That's up to you to do that. And so we're going to start with the president of the Frederick County Council, Council Member Keegan Ayers.
Good afternoon. My name is MC Keegan Ayers. I am the president of the Frederick County Council. I am here today representing the county executive, Jan Gardner. She is not able to be here this afternoon, so she asked me to step in. I am thrilled to be able to welcome you all to Frederick County. Frederick County is a place that those of us who live here would like to keep a little bit of a secret. It's a great place to live. We have a very vibrant community here. But I would encourage you, perhaps not today because you have an all-day conference, but in this lovely spring weather, come back and visit us again. We have a very vibrant downtown area with shops and restaurants, quirky little neighborhood places you can pop in and out of. We have wineries, we have distilleries, we have breweries, we have cideries. You can come here and do it all. And we have lots of cute little coffee shops and places to stop in and we have sidewalk cafes where you can just people watch. So please come back and visit us. Today is, I guess we're supposed to be speaking about ourselves and how we got where we are, which mine is a very twisted path. I was raised in Washington, D.C. I worked on Capitol Hill for 10 years, and then my husband and I moved to Frederick. We had been living in D.C. at the time, and we started our family, and working on Capitol Hill and raising a family does not work, particularly not when you're both working on Capitol Hill. So we flipped the coin to see who was going to stay home and raise the children, and I lost or won, depending on your perspective. But so I stayed home and raised our children. We have 3 children, and I was involved in their schools, and I got involved in PTA. And the one thing that bothered me was the inequity between communities and the facilities in which the children go to school. And I got involved in advocating for schools and school capacity issues, and I stayed involved even after my children graduated. And 5.5 years ago, when Frederick County was changing to a charter form of government, Jan Gardner came to me and said, I'm going to run for the county executive position, and I need some strong women to run for county council. Would you be interested? And I said, Jan, I watched it on Capitol Hill. I do not want to be an elected official. And she says, oh, please, you're great. You know the issues, you know. And I was like, I just don't want to do it. Needless to say, Jan won. So I ran, I won. I was the elected vice president. We had a very challenging, shall I say, first council. And out of the 7 of us, only 3 of us survived. So 2 of us were women. What does that tell you? You will be hearing from the other county councilwoman who survived in just a minute. But I was reelected in November, and the council then elected me president. And hopefully this council is a little more cooperative, and hopefully we are looking forward to getting a lot of stuff done that will benefit all the residents of Frederick County. And so I just want to tell you, it doesn't matter when you get involved. It doesn't matter if you're young or if you're not quite so young. It just matters that you get involved. You find an issue that you are passionate about and you stay involved and you continue to work and you continue to do the best that you can to represent your community. When I was first elected, Councilwoman Fitzwater and I went to a Maryland Association of Counties convention in, I believe it was in Cambridge, and the mayor of Baltimore at that time, Stephanie Rollins-Blake, was speaking to us, and she ended her speech with a quote that stuck with me and sticks with me still today. And her quote was, "Strong women, may we know them, may we be them, and may we raise them." And my daughter, for my birthday last week, my daughter's 26, she posted on my Facebook page something about how she is who she is today because of the way she was raised. And she thanked me for being such a strong mom. And she raised her motto is, respect all, fear none. So with that, I leave you today to listen to the panels, be involved, and don't ever lose your passion. Thank you.
Councilmember Fitzwater.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jessica Fitzwater, and I serve on the Frederick County Council. I represent Council District 4, which includes a large part of Frederick City, where we are right now, and some of the surrounding county area. So on behalf of all the residents of Frederick County, I also want to welcome you here and echo Council Members Keegan Ayer's comments about the wonderful county that we live in and how proud we are to represent the residents of Frederick County. And I also encourage you, if you haven't before, to get to know our community a little bit. We're grateful to live in such a diverse and thriving community here that continues to grow, and we're grateful that it's such an attractive place for people to come visit and also come to live here. So a little bit briefly about myself. I'm originally from Washington County, just over the mountain, and I've been teaching here in Frederick County for 14 years. I'm an elementary music teacher, and I came to politics and local government through my education advocacy. I think it's a very natural pathway for people to become involved in politics, because if there's anyone here who is an educator or an education advocate, you know that every decision about what teachers do in the classroom is made by elected officials, whether it's your local board of education, your county officials, your state or federal officials. All of those decisions about how you teach and what you teach and how much time you have and how much you're paid and compensated and what kind of facilities you're teaching in, all of those decisions are in the hands of elected officials. So it didn't take me very long to learn that and to start paying a lot of attention to what my elected leaders were doing, the decisions that they were making, and how that was impacting my students. I became very active in our local teachers union, the Frederick County Teachers Association, and then through that, very active in the Maryland State Education Association and the National Education Association. And it wasn't long before I definitely got bit by the political bug and started showing up to give public comment at hearings about budgets, advocating for better education policy, and just making sure I was informed on the issues so that I could stand up for my students. So as all of this was happening, at the time, from about 2010 to 2014, before I decided to run for office, the local county officials here were not supportive of public education. They were consistently funding education at the bare minimum allowed by law, saying things like, we won't fund a penny over maintenance of effort, which is that bare minimum, telling teachers if they want anything more, they should go buy Powerball tickets. And none of these are, I'm not paraphrasing, these are actual things coming out of these men's mouths, and yes, they were all men. So I didn't see anybody that looked like me, that was representing my values, that was moving Frederick County in the direction that I wanted to see my community move. And I had the opportunity kind of around the same time to join a program called Emerge Maryland. And you'll be hearing from the Director of Emerge Maryland later today, I think, on one of the panels. This is an outstanding program that trains Democratic women how to run for office. I was fortunate to be accepted into the inaugural class and graduated from the program in 2013. And it really gave me the confidence and the skills to be able to run a winning campaign. So I ran in 2014, and at the time I was 30 when I was elected, and was one of only 2 women under 40 on any county elected council or board of county commissioners. So I was proud of that, but it shows just how much work we still have to do to get more women and more young women at the table. So I, along with Councilmember Keegan, decided to run again in 2018, and was fortunate to be elected again, and have really enjoyed being in this role. I'm still a teacher and a mom, and about to be mom of a second, as you can obviously see. And so life is complicated and busy, but it really is such a wonderful opportunity to be able to serve the citizens of Frederick County. We work on all sorts of issues at the council level. Councilmember Keegan didn't talk about too many, but she's been intimately involved in some land use and environmental issues that we're working on, and sometimes they're not as exciting as you might think, but it's important work. Some of the things that I have been most passionate about and excited to work on in my time on the council, one of the first actions that I led is the successful repeal of an English-only ordinance that was passed by the previous Board of County Commissioners. It was a very unwelcoming and unnecessary piece of legislation that was really dividing our community. And so one of the first things that I took on after being elected in 2014 was to repeal that. I was very proud of the work of the community behind me, and that I was able to get the support of a majority of the council to do that. I also have worked on many issues involving affordable housing, trying to build our local toolkit to attract more diverse types of housing to Frederick County. We have over 1/3 of our families that can't really afford a survival budget in Frederick County, and our biggest obstacle is affordable housing. We're not unique in that, but we do have some unique challenges being in the DC metro area. We're kind of on the edge of rural and urban, and so we have the opportunity to really improve a lot of people's situations with working towards more affordable housing. I also led an anti-human trafficking effort. We started a task force here, and we now have a very active human trafficking response team that continues to work on protocols and responses and education in the community, and also have worked on some environmental issues with strengthening water body buffers and things like that to try to improve our local land use practices. So there's so much work to do, and I would really encourage all of you. You're obviously here, so you're already involved in issues in your community, but as Councilmember Keegan said, stay involved, stay passionate about your issues, and remember, we need more women to run for office. So if you even had an inkling of thinking about maybe doing that, please continue to network and reach out to leaders in your area, because we need you. And thank you guys so much for being here today.
Easy to remember, and join up, please. I'm going to introduce right now Maria Darby, who is with Maryland Women's Heritage Center. She's the president this year.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Lunch was great, wasn't it? Thank you so much for being here today. The Maryland Women's Heritage Center is really proud to partner with NOW to put on this conference and to do numerous other things throughout the year. We all recognize, and certainly you do as well for being here, that together we're stronger. That organizations, particularly women's organizations, when we get it right, it's because we're all pulling in the same direction. And then we're figuring out where the linkages are and not focusing so much on what the differences are. And so today, the program that's put on is really talking about all the ways that we can be successful in promoting women and encouraging our girls to be strong and follow their own dreams in various ways, regardless of what kind of organization or family structure they're coming from. And so we're really pleased to be part of that. So it's going to be a wonderful day ahead. I am really honored to be the president of the Maryland Women's Heritage Center. This is my first year as president. I've been on the board for 4 years. And you know, I always say the great thing about the Maryland Women's Heritage Center is we get to celebrate women's history all year long, not just in March. Because you know, our theme is adding her story to his story to make our story. And we're so thrilled to have you all adding to that story today by sharing your own, by listening to others, and to actively taking part in the dialogue, because candid conversation is what moves us forward. Thanks so much. Have a great day. So I'm old, so I'll skip right through. I started my career in women's issues in the poverty sector because I became particularly interested in, as our speaker before said, about the inequality of homelessness among women. And a lot of what I learned was that women often became homeless because when they were in a relationship that they had children in, that they would give up virtually everything in order to keep their children. So they wouldn't fight for money, they wouldn't fight for resources, they wouldn't fight for access, they would fight for their children only. And we can all understand that, right? I totally get that. But it seemed like there wasn't enough people out there advocating on their behalf to help them feel like they could do both. That they could advocate for their children and the support they need to be able to raise those children, because they didn't birth them alone. So that's sort of where I started my career, and I continued to focus on women's and women's issues, both in my career and in my volunteer life. And currently, I work for Keswick, and it provides support for older people. And what we found again at the end of the life cycle, that women are often the person struggling, and perhaps many of you here in the sandwich generation, right? So you have your children, you may still be engaged in supporting in some way, depending on their age, more or less. And then you're supporting your parents and often your in-laws in a way that is very difficult for a lot of people. And so besides providing on-campus support for older adults, we're really working, and I've been spending, what I do at Keswick is try to help older people in the community find the resources for self-care so that they're in a stronger position to be able to help others. Because you know, there's a reason they have you put the life mask on yourself in the airplane before helping others around you. And I think we get it when we're on a plane, but somehow we lose it when we're in the community. And so that's really where my career has taken me. I think it's maybe because I've also aged that I recognize the value of how we bond together as a community to create a stronger foundation, so that when I'm weak and you're strong, we're stronger together. And that when I'm strong and you're weak, again, we're stronger together. So that's really where I come from in my background. And I think that if we, partly what drew me to the Women's Heritage Center is that I think if we forget our stories of the past, both the good, the bad, and the ugly, we're doomed to replay the good, the bad, and the ugly, as opposed to always the good. And I think particularly in this time in our history, there's never been a more important time for women to find commonality on issues and to fight like hell for them. So I hope that you all will engage with us in whatever place that you find yourself on the spectrum of supporting women and women's issues. The Maryland Women's Heritage Center is proud to partner with other organizations with complementary missions such as NOW, AEW, the National Women's History Alliance, and many others. So to that end, we wanted to recognize today, along with our partners, several longstanding leaders of the Maryland Women's Heritage Center who have made significant contributions to the organizations, who are retiring from their past roles. Amazing, you do actually eventually get to retire. I didn't know such a thing. But anyway, in this public forum with many of our supporters and partners, we wanted to acknowledge a few of the members of our board and change makers for the Maryland Women's Heritage Center. First, we would like to thank and recognize Frances Hughes Glendenning. Francie was an original member of our board in 2004. She served as our president until 2018. So if you're counting, all except for her first year on the board, she was the president for 13 years, which is difficult in all organizations, but in a women's equity organization, it is particularly difficult. During that time, she was also happened to be the First Lady of the state of Maryland and continues now as the Executive Director of the Maryland Association of Boards of Education. She unfortunately is not available to join us because, like the president was just saying, much work to be done. She has a board meeting as well. So please let's give her a big round of applause for all of her work. We are also pleased to recognize Josie Thompson. Josie has been a member of our board since 2010. She came to us with a background as a small business owner, a member of the Regional Chamber of Commerce, a leadership role in an Asian American organization, and most important, a talented graphic designer. Over the past several years, Josie has updated the brand of the Maryland Women's Heritage Center into professional marketing materials, designed the fabulous STEM exhibit that you'll see over there, and transformed the version that is portable so you can see today. There you go, it's over there. Josie's here too, and many other incredible deliverables. Thank you for your efforts, Josie. Come on up here. My real job, I do marketing and communications, and I'm a former colleague of mine, Danita Terry from the Girl Scouts is here, where I worked before, and she knows, and Josie knows, like, here's my visual of creating something. I draw a little circle, I say, let's put some things around it, and then make it beautiful. And then people like Josie take that and make it amazing. So, Josie, the Maryland Women's Heritage Center awards the Certificate of Appreciation to you for years of service as a member of the board and as a visionary graphic designer of several exhibits. Rhonda Tomlinson joined our board at the same time as Josie did in 2010 as her business and professional partner in many endeavors. Rhonda came to our board as a strong supporter of our mission and then agreed to become its treasurer since she happens to also be a CPA. So besides a designer, if you're in the nonprofit world in particular, there's no better person to have on your board than a CPA. Over the years, Rhonda helped to organize several of our events, expanded the organization's development functions, as well as served as a liaison for our STEM colleagues. She preferred the programmatic functions, although we still made her be the treasurer, but we encouraged her. But she also brought the Women's Heritage Center back into a positive nonprofit status in good standing in the state of Maryland. We wish Rhonda the best of luck in her new role in her business ventures and her transition in her career pathway as an accountant. Now she's doing really cool things. Besides accounting, she's also has a travel business with Josie, so we're very thankful to her as well. And the last, we would like to recognize and honor another board member that we lost last week. Dr. Katherine Barbara was the former president of Frostburg State University. She too had a strong passion for women's history and knew that many stories of women were still untold. Dr. Gira provided a sustaining award annually for Maryland History Day for an award for women's history in the name of the Women's Center. She knew that we had many more stories to be told and to teach, as well as the importance of supporting girls and women to find their voice and career. And when I joined the center, it was the board years ago, it was really sort of a moment for me to meet her in person. She was a quiet and deliberate leader, a thoughtful and caring person who really helped us change the world. And so we are very sad to lose her. I wanted to take a moment to recognize her today.
All right, so it looks like we have a break. We're a little behind, and I'll tell you the restroom is through that doorway there, and we have one more right now. I apologize. From citation from Senator Chris Van Hollen, and it's Juliana Alowitz.
Thank you, Linda. Wow, what an event. I'm so happy I'm able to be here and to listen to all this wonderful news. Dr. Lawson, thank you very much. Your presentation was quite inspiring, I think, for all of us. You did mention the African American Museum in Washington, which is new. If any of you are interested in visiting that museum, our office can arrange tickets for you So please let one of our offices know. You can get that information over the website at www.vanholland.senate.gov. All right. It's my honor and privilege to be here today and to recognize the women that are putting on this conference for you. And actually, I spent 13 years working for a very, very prominent woman, Senator Mikulski. So and I can't tell you what an inspiration she was. I recently did get to see her. She was in Frederick for the funeral or the memorial service for Congressman Beverly Byron's husband. And that's the first I've seen her since she retired, but she looks well rested. She does have an office at Johns Hopkins University, and she's doing quite well. So I do have the privilege of working for a very great man who does believe in women's rights and what you are doing. And he asked me to come today and make a presentation. The president of the Heritage, where did she go? Would you come and join us, please? I'm sorry, I don't have your name.
Maria Darby.
I should have looked here, right?
Wherever, I'm very flexible.
All right, I have two presentations to make, and actually one is for the Maryland Now, and the other is for Maryland's Women Heritage Center. They both say the same thing. It's in celebration of its Women's History Conference, The Power of Women, Past, Present, and Future. In recognition of its efforts to highlight the vital role of women in America's history, with gratitude and appreciation for its efforts to educate and empower women, and with best wishes for a meaningful celebration. Signed, Chris Van Hollen, United States Senator, on this the 31st of March, 2019. Now,
now we can take our break. Don't move yet, though. Through that door, there's the first door, if you go straight back, is labeled women, and the next door may be labeled men, but there's nobody in the house, so it's other than our wonderful photographer who has his very own space. We're running a little late. Can you get there and back, and then we will understand if you can't get in, you can take